So I've come to the conclusion that essentially manifestation is for morons. And the reason I say this is because it tends to be the people that are lazy, it tends to be the people that like to talk about their goals and do nothing about it, and it tends to be the people that like using buzzwords that use this word. And I just don't want to be associated with those people, so I just don't use this word ever. I just don't want to be associated with the people that think talking about your goals, putting in zero effort, and then thinking the universe is going to give it to them. It's just an absolutely ridiculous way of living. You're going to get nowhere with it. And I don't want my words taken out of context, so I'd rather just not use the word. Now, if you actually want to use manifestation to your advantage, you need to understand what it is. And I know that sentence was contradictory because I just said I never use manifestation in my sentences. Now here I am explaining it. But we are changing the narrative. So, what is manifestation? Manifestation is essentially thoughts which turn to focus, which turn into action. You've probably heard this a million times. What you think about all the time is who you are. You are what you think about all the time. Part of who you are is just a curated version of your thoughts. For example, maybe you've seen this car before. Maybe you've seen a certain car that you really like. You really want to buy it. You thought you'd never seen it before. You see it at a dealership and you're like, okay, I'm thinking I want to buy this car. But before you buy it at the dealership, you go home, you go wherever, you take a month off before you actually buy the car. And within that month, you're seeing this car everywhere. You're seeing the same exact car, same exact color. But it's not because you never seen the car before, but it's because your brain never gave itself a reason to actually pay attention to it. And once you realize this, once this happens to you once, you need to be perspicacious and realize that you have the most valuable tool in the world, which is a human brain. Your human brain, your brain, is the most valuable tool. It is the most valuable asset. It is the most valuable gift. You can't be saying, oh, I got a weak mind. You can't be saying that. When you say, oh, I got a weak mind, you are discrediting God's intentionality with your life. You need to be saying, I'm that guy, I'm that girl, I'm reaching my goals because that's the type of person I am. I'm reaching my goals no matter how much suffering. I'm reaching my goals because that's the type of person that God has called me to be. And since I'm that guy, I'm that girl, that's the type of person I am because that's the type of person that God has called me to be. I'm unstoppable. Okay, once you say this, once you say, okay, God has purposefully given me gifts, He has intentionality in my life. You can now say, okay, I'm an egotistical utilitarian. And essentially what an egotistical utilitarian is someone that believes their desires are for the greater good, not just because of their personal desires. So now, you have this ego. But it's almost like a humbling ego. It's paradoxical. But you need an ego in order for this to work. My case, ego in Christ. So now because you have this ego, you fully believe you're capable of doing great things. But this, for whatever reason, is where people stop. They believe they're capable of doing good things, doing great things, and then they do nothing. If you fully believe you're capable of doing great things and that you're the best, why are you doing nothing? Think with conviction, talk with conviction, move with conviction. So, you have this ego. What do you do with it? You need to become a sayer. Become a sayer. You say something, you mean it, you now have to do it. You now have to do it. No shortcuts. Remember, you're an egotistical utilitarian, not just egotistical. You need to have patience. You need to do things the right way. You know why you got to do things the right way? Because if God can wait 400 years to unenslave the Israelites, just so that things can do correctly, I'm sure he's not going to skip the lesson of patience in your life, so you may as well learn it the easy way and learn it with God instead of learning it the difficult way. So you need to have patience. It's critical. So let's reiterate here. Where are we at? Become an egotistical utilitarian. 2, become a sayer. 3, be patient. Combining these 3 things allows you to, 1, you have an ego. 2, when you say things, you mean it. So now your ego is forcing you to do the thing. Because once you say it, now you have to do it. Because your ego is saying, oh, well, you said it, dude. You got to do it now. But once you add the patience in, it allows you not to fail. And allows you to stay on God's path. And when I say become a sayer, don't start saying stupid things. Don't say, well, I want a Lamborghini. I'm going to have a Lamborghini tomorrow. When you currently live in a shed. And God doesn't care whether or not you got a Lamborghini. So don't say stupid stuff like that. Your word needs to mean something. You say something, you mean it. Your word needs to be iron. And when you say something and you mean it, you're going to start having that reputation of, okay, I know I can trust this guy because when he says something, he gets it done. But when you say something, you always mean it. You got to be careful about what you say. Because when you say something, but you say something stupid because you don't have patience, you ultimately fail. That's what I talked about before. You got to have ego and patience combined. Because when you don't combine the two, you will ultimately fail. Let's say you're 100 pounds. You never lifted a weight in your life. You cannot say, well, I'm going to bench press 315 pounds now. Because when you combine the ego with zero patience, and you have this unbreakable ego, and you're a sayer, so it now has to get done, but you skip the patience part, you now have to bench press 315 pounds because your ego says so, because you said it, because your ego says now you have to because you said a certain thing. You're going to have to do it, but you're going to have to do unethical things to get it done. You're going to go to gear, you're going to go to steroids, whatever, just to bench press 315 pounds. It's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in making money. Don't say, well, I'm going to make $1 million in a month. Because you're going to make some buns business, you're going to make some buns startup, and you're going to start scamming people. And you're veering off God's path every time you make some stupid promise. And God is the whole reason you got this ego in the first place. You got to remember that. You're an egotistical utilitarian. So, those are all the steps. I'm going to reiterate here just to re-ingrain it in your brain or officially ingrain it in your brain. First, step 1, become an egotistical utilitarian. This allows you to actually believe that you're capable of doing great things and doing good things and doing them for the greater good. Secondly, your word is ironclad. You say it, you mean it. Number 3, become a sayer. You say something, you now have to do it because your ego says you can. And number 4, be patient. Arguably the most important part because it allows you to not make stupid promises or say stupid things.